in those.
This Mixed TV interview is supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. Visit us online at wholesalesupply.us.
401, good morning, everyone. Mix 1041, mixtv.tv. Hey, Senator Bill Hagerty, how about Taylor Swift opening for you? That's pretty good.
Well, Taylor's been having an incredible run here. She's going all over the country. The tour is just breaking records right and left. She's been in Tennessee already. Of course, that's her roots.
Yeah.
When I was serving as ambassador to Japan, Steve, she finished her last world tour there in Tokyo. And I know Taylor's father, and my wife knows her mother. So we went over to see the finale. It was just amazing. And her father told me that she broke every record ever made. Broke the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, in terms of the amount of revenue generated on a global basis on that tour. So she was a phenomenon, and incredibly close ties to Tennessee.
You got that right. Well, we're joined by Senator Bill Hagerty. Senator, thank you very much. There's so much going on, and there's a lot to talk about this morning. I do want to begin, though. I'd love to get your thoughts about all of the talk we're hearing about artificial intelligence. I know that you've been presented with some confidential, high-level reporting to the United States Senate. Congress has been presented with some things. Some of the founders of AI, I guess, calling for self-regulation, which is unique. Where are we in all of this, Senator?
I think we're evolving extraordinarily rapidly, Steve. You're so wise to be focused on this, because the rate of change that we're seeing with AI is enormous. And the leaders that have come from the technology space to come in and visit with me, Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, came to see me. Sam Altman, the guy who's been the architect of OpenAI and ChatGPT, came to see me in my office. I just spoke with the vice chairman of IBM last night on this topic. We have the most innovative creators in America working on this. Tremendous amount of capital is going into it. It's consuming a tremendous amount of computing capacity and energy to develop these programs. But my goal is to make certain that America stays at the forefront of artificial intelligence. There are a lot of benefits that you can imagine from this, Steve. It can accelerate the pace of automation. We've got obviously serious problems with the availability of workforce to do a number of things. You look at companies like Ernst & Young, the big accounting firm. They've declared that they're going to invest over $1 billion into artificial intelligence, and I presume that's to take on more routine things having to do with filing tax returns and that type of thing that accountants tend to do. That could be done by a trained machine, artificial intelligence. So you're going to see, tremendous opportunities for efficiency gains. There's a lot of discussion about that. There's going to be tremendous opportunities in the coding arena, because machines can code faster than humans if they're properly trained. I think the real concern is what happens if somehow a machine's capability exceeds that of the human being. And that's been where a lot of the focus has been here in Congress. That's a philosophical question. It's an ethical and a moral question. And that's where we've been trying to focus our effort and attention. I want to see the innovation continue. I want to create the environment so that U.S. leaders can continue to maintain the lead. But we need to think about and answer these ethical questions, particularly when we're dealing with countries like China, Iran, North Korea, Russia. Those countries certainly don't have the same worldview that we do. They don't have our best interest at heart, and we need to make certain that we're prepared for and to protect against anything malign that might come from these activities.
Yeah, we're joined by United States Senator Bill Hagerty this morning, and I guess that's the next question is, when we hear predictions, everything from job loss to misinformation, then some of these technical leaders who, one, of course, resigned from Google, saying, look, this could be the end of humanity as we know it. You're in a unique position with the information you're receiving as part of the United States Senate. Are some of those predictions outlandish to you? Where do they fall in as far as your feelings?
Well, at this point, they're beyond the capacity of technology. But many people have seen the old Terminator movie from back in the 80s when machines took over. Those sort of fears come back to mind, and I think particularly in Washington and particularly in the media, there's a great tendency to seize upon fear and exaggeration to get more attention, more clicks, and that makes more interesting news to people. But where we are right now is a situation where we've had a major breakthrough with ChatGPT. People are beginning to see that, get their arms around it. There's a tremendous amount of additional research and investment going into it right now. And I think it's too early to tell where we're headed with this. I think what we need to do, though, is be cognizant that it could go any direction. And our job is to try to understand in a very broad way the directions that it might go, and if it requires guardrails, to put those up with as light a government touch as possible, but with the safety and security of Americans at the forefront of our concerns.
We're joined by a United States Senator from Tennessee, Bill Hagerty. And, Senator, I want to jump topics here a little bit and talk about China. And, of course, we saw Secretary of State Anthony Blinken in China this week. What did you make of that? And just overall, this administration's policy regarding China?
You know, I served in the previous administration as the United States ambassador to Japan, right at the doorstep of China, a place where the United States has more military investment, more active duty soldiers stationed there than any place else in the world. Why is that? Because we're right at the doorstep of China, of Russia, of North Korea. So I dealt with it every day. And what I saw was a dramatic change from the Obama lead from behind position that preceded us to President Trump's position. When Obama was president, President Xi of China came over to the White House, stood in the Rose Garden lawn, and said that he had no intention of militarizing these artificial islands that they were building in the South China Sea. They turned around in 2016 and did exactly that. They militarized the islands. They're now military outposts, half a dozen of them, along the busiest sea lane in the world. When we came there, those ships backed out. They were harassing the Senkaku Islands in Japan. They backed out. President Trump demonstrated American strength. Xi Jinping saw that, and we fundamentally changed the nature and the tenor of our discussions. Xi Jinping took President Trump's phone calls. Xi Jinping was there at Mar-a-Lago. You may remember this. And right before his dessert, President Trump went and ordered tomahawks into Syria, came back and delivered that message to Xi Jinping. That had a very important impact on the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. Right now, what Xi Jinping sees is weakness at every turn. He sees us capitulate in Afghanistan. He sees us acting in a very feckless manner with respect to Ukraine. You know, Joe Biden's initial strategy with respect to Ukraine, 2 days into the invasion by Russia, he offered Vladimir Zelensky an exit package. His strategy was to help Zelensky surrender. You remember this? Zelensky said, I don't need a ride home. I need help. Send me ammunition. But Xi Jinping sees all of this. Other world leaders see this too. What they see is weakness. And now with this, you roll forward to this visit by Secretary of State Blinken to China. The conditions that the Chinese Communist Party set on Blinken obtaining that visit were that the FBI not release its report on the China spy balloon. This is the balloon that invaded our sovereignty, that floated over America for days, hovering over important strategic military sites, even coming over Oak Ridge National Lab, very near you, Steve. The gall of the Chinese to demand this, and the timidity of the Biden administration to accommodate it, that FBI report has not been released. They buried it. They did all of this just so they could get a photo opportunity and claim that we're, quote, resetting relations, where relations are at the lowest point that I've ever seen them, and it's because we're not standing in a position of strength.
Senator Bill Hagerty, of course, United States Senate from Tennessee. And one other topic I want to bring up, because, look, it is the presidential campaign season is on, and the race to the Republican nomination. You, Senator, along with your colleague, Senator Marsha Blackburn, also Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, among others, named to former President Donald Trump's leadership team in Tennessee. What do you make of all of the Republican candidates jumping in, and why did you agree to serve and on former president's leadership team in the volunteer state?
Well, first I'll say about all the candidates, and I know most of them and friends with most of them. I don't know all of them, but I know and I'm friends with most of them. Any one of them would be far better than Joe Biden. So I'll start with that as a basic foundation. But I'll say this, Steve, you know I served in President Trump's administration. I served in one of the toughest parts of the world. And what I see is that each month is worse than the month before it in terms of our position here in the domestic economy and in terms of our posture on the global stage. Joe Biden is increasingly pushing us closer and closer to a catastrophe on a global basis. And the one leader that we've seen demonstrate his capability to step up and handle challenges like this as Donald Trump. So it was no question in my mind that should he run again, and he's decided to do so, that I would be supportive of him. He did a tremendous job, in my view, when he served as President of the United States. He made America strong again. He made our economy strong. Our GDP was growing at twice the rate of growth of any other major economy when he was president. And from an international basis, again, I saw it firsthand. We were speaking from a position of strength, and we need to get back there. He can do it. I'm certain that other of our candidates would certainly do a far better job than Joe Biden, too, but I have confidence in President Trump.
Do the indictments concern you, Senator?
I think it concerns every American when you have a sitting president that would rather jail his opponent than run against him. And we see a two-tier system of justice on full display. The Justice Department right now talking about a slap on the wrist for Hunter Biden. We know many other people, it's coming to light, many other people that have committed similar crimes that have been incarcerated for an extended period of time. I think really what this is an attempt to divert America's attention from the crimes of the father, and that's Joe Biden. I mean, how did Hunter Biden get this access? Whose access was he selling? How did the Biden family get these millions upon millions of dollars if it weren't for access to the then Vice President of the United States? And again, how does Joe Biden himself live in a mansion in Delaware? I can tell you that a senator's salary certainly wouldn't deliver that. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. So something is very, very wrong here. Yet the mainstream media are trying to divert. I think they will just take this and say, well, the issue's resolved. Hunter Biden has been slapped on the wrist. He's pled guilty. Let's go on to the next story. This has to do with the 2024 election. It's on full display that Joe Biden is trying to deflect America's attention from his own misgivings and malign behavior, and he's trying to turn it all back on Donald Trump on some sort of records retention charges. They're going to try to create a felony out of that. It's unbelievable.
Senator Bill Hagerty. Senator, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.
As always, Steve, great to be with you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Senator Bill Hagerty, and we appreciate his views this morning. It is 2 minutes before 8.